Greetings to our outstanding City Colleges of Chicago students, staff, and faculty. Thank you for joining us in this first of a series of virtual events, Community Healing Days. Coming together for virtual gatherings is undoubtedly a sign of the times. Our Chicago family has experienced a lot of loss. For some, it was a loss of financial security and opportunities. For others, a loss of momentum towards dreams and goals. And undoubtedly, and so unfortunately, we have also lost friends, colleagues, and loved ones. Today, we remember them. We remember that the pandemic has touched us all in very deep and personal ways and impacted us as a City Colleges of Chicago community. As we all hunker down with online learning and online teaching, helping our kids while they learn remotely, checking in on our elders to help them navigate technologies they may have never used before. All of these new realities create a lot of stress and pressure for each and every one of us. At the same time, we are also in a fight for social justice. Fight to make sure there is equity in our institutions, fairness in our systems, equal opportunities to live and pursue dreams. A fight to root out racism wherever it is, however it manifests itself. All of this can be stressful, frustrating, exhausting. It can be so much more difficult when we face these challenges separated from one another and in isolation. I know you may be feeling alone, but I want you to know that you are not alone. City Colleges is a strong community. As a community, we are here for one another in good times and tough times. I believe our community is our greatest asset. Now is the time to lean on that community for support and to be strengthened by one another. Our theme for today is of healing and hope, a memorial. You will hear from members of our CCC community remembering what we lost, reflecting on how far we have come, and how we build on the foundation of our community for a stronger and resilient City Colleges of Chicago. How we build to ensure that you, as a member of the City Colleges of Chicago community, are cared for. Remember those we've lost and stay strong.
My name is Daryl Griffin, and I served as one of the trustees for the City Colleges for 2 terms, and I am honored to be here and to share words of comfort. I certainly want to thank our Chancellor Sangato, for his leadership to our City Colleges, and certainly to the Board of Trustees, and to all of the college presidents, and also to all of the faculty, staff, and most importantly, to all of the students. This pandemic, the COVID-19, has impacted all of our lives. Who knew a few months ago that this would be one of the most precious and coveted items in order to fight this pandemic? This pandemic has disrupted all of our lives. It has disrupted our lives globally. It stopped travel, it stopped commerce, it has stopped funerals and weddings and all kinds of celebrations. It has even impacted our educational system, and all aspects of our lives have been touched by this pandemic. My son, one day, we were sitting there watching a scary movie, and my son said to me, Daddy, something bad is about to happen. And I said, how do you know something bad is about to happen? He said, Daddy, don't you hear the music? Don't you hear the dun dun dun? Don't you hear the sound of the music? That's to tell you something bad is about to happen. And beloved, I wish life had music like that so that we can brace ourselves for the conflict. We can brace ourselves for this pandemic. But many of us were literally caught off guard by this pandemic, and it has claimed so many lives. What we discover in this, though, is that life still goes on. And what we've learned in all of this pandemic, is that the God that we serve, the faith communities that we serve, are not always in the explaining business. We don't always get understanding of why all of these things are happening to us. But one thing that we've learned in all of this is that our faith sustains us through it. Our faith communities and our faith centers, they sustain us through everything that we're going through so that we know that we are not in this alone. So yes, City College, the colleges may be closed, but the buildings may be closed, but the college is wide open. Learning is still continuing. And so as we navigate this and as we grieve through this, I want us to do three things that I think is so important. Is one, grieve. You must grieve. It is important that we grieve. It is important that we lament. It's important that we show and understand that grief is a part of this journey. We need to cry. We need to wail. We need to lament. We need to express ourselves through grief. So share your grief. Don't let anyone tell you not to grieve. This is a tremendous loss to all of us. And for those who have lost loved ones and family and friends and colleagues, it is a greater loss. And so we want to make sure that we are grieving and that we are lamenting. But the second thing that we need to do in this is we need to make sure that we are seeking help. The City Colleges provides a number of resources to help students and faculty and staff navigate this pandemic, navigate the crisis by counseling, by mentoring, and by assistance. So please make sure that you seek help. You should not be navigating the pandemic by yourselves. There are others who are in community with you who are able to help you navigate this. And then finally, I want to make sure that you understand that there is hope. There is hope. You're not in this by yourself. Remember, there is hope. You came to City Colleges, you work at City Colleges because you believe in the power and the importance of education. Yes, this pandemic has been difficult, but we have still had to move forward in our educational process. And so I want you to know that there is hope. Just like in winter and spring and summer, in nature, there are various moments of cycles of life. Every time I sit in my backyard, I watch the cycles of life. I watch the trees turn to green, and then they turn orange, and then they die off, and then they start over and over again. So in other words, there is hope. And I close with this. My son loves to fly kites when they were small. And oftentimes when they would fly the kites, when they were real small, they would see the kite way in the sky. And they would be holding on to it. I'd wrap it around their arm or their finger to make sure that the kite wouldn't blow away. And my son would look up and he said, "Daddy, I can't see the kite. How do you know it's there?" And I reminded him, you know that the kite is there because every now and then, all you have to do is tug your hand and you will feel it. And so I say that to say that all of us have these higher powers. We all have these faith communities. That we may not always understand and feel the presence of our faith community, but know that there is a higher power. Know that there is a God that is really helping us navigate this. You are not alone. Grieve, get help, and hold on to hope, because you will make it through this. Your goal was to get a degree from city colleges, and that's what you need to do. Your goal is to continue to educate and empower our students. That's what you need to do. But what we do is we know that this too shall pass. Hold on to your faith. May God keep you and bless you.
My name is Oshana Goodrum. I attend Harold Washington College, and I will be graduating in spring of 2021. Currently 23 years old, and this is my poem that I did on police brutality and everything that was really going on in 2020. Yeah, it's an untitled poem. A cycle of bitterness, hate, and anger. A common story that seems to be reoccurring in every news station across the nation. But its origin has since then rooted into the world, born from ignorance, fed lies, grows up yet never dies. It's only reincarnated into the next person and the beast grows, coiled and ready to attack the tongue like a snake. Then we are bitten, the venom spreading, first poisoning the mind and the body. Mental health is ignored, passed down transgressions, generational aggression. I said, I refuse to stay angry. I'm fed up, but I will not spew this horrible message attempting to be shoved into my soul. I said, teach the youth. I will make progress out of pain. I will make a change in this world before I leave this earthly body. Say their names. I say their names until I'm out of breath, as if I've just ran a marathon. Say their names, say their names, say their names, all Destiny's children. But this shouldn't have been their fate, and now they have no future. Sometimes I imagine what it feels like to be in the morgue because of someone else, face up on a coroner's table. But some of them can't even make it to set the table before Sunday dinner. Ain't that something? And that's another secret about brutality in general that wasn't caught on camera. The stories that don't make it out the hood and become more generational curses out of fear, well-dressed and in caskets with pretty flowers. This is why we march.
Greetings all, my name is Jeanine Janoski. I'm a 20-year-old sophomore attending Richard J. Daley City College of Chicago, representing SGA, Miss Bev, whoop whoop. And today I'll be performing an original for you known as Optimism. In darker times such as these, it's good to look on the bright side of life. So I hope you enjoy. Time keeps moving on. People you love may be gone, but with every blood, every bond, keep your head up, keep your head up. Time keeps moving on. People you love may be gone, but with every blood, every bond, keep your head up, keep your head up. Things get hard, things get tough. Yeah, I know that times are rough. Just you wait for that day the sun comes out again. Time keeps moving on. People you love may be gone, with every blood, every bond. Keep your head up, keep your head up. Time keeps moving on. Boy, your love may be gone, with every blood, every bond. Keep your head up, keep your head up. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed.
My name is Henry Wong. I'm 26 years old, born and raised in Chicago. I'm a student veteran at Harold Washington College. I'm about on my second year, so I should be graduating pretty soon. I'm one of the lucky few that haven't really gone through it, but we've been indirectly affected because with everything being shut down and slowed down, the economy the way it is, we more or less have to deal with how things have to slow to a grinding halt just so it won't spread any further. But other than that, though, I'm just trying to make do however way I can. Most of my time has been spent indoors, But I'm lucky enough to be a veteran benefiting off the GI Bill, so it hasn't affected me too greatly. But one of the things that that's been different is just staying inside, not being able to see anybody because of the way things are, and it can get quite difficult from time to time because of being lonely and just always being inside. But to be honest, I can deal with the social distancing and all that, and going online. But the difficulties come in when I need human interaction to progress within my academic work. Like trying to learn biology through online classes is pretty difficult. So, but again, other than that, I'm just trying to. I'm doing the best I can under these circumstances, and I'm just hoping for the best. That's all I can really do. You know, I with this time, like I got a lot of. I use most of my time to try to get closer to my family. So I'm grateful for that. Most of my time before this, you know, my family was all over the place. They still kind of are, but now with the way things are, they're stuck with me, and I'm stuck with them. It's not as bad as that sounds. It does have its ups and downs, but it does afford me a lot of time to just reflect about how much time we've missed out on each other.
I'm Jeanine Janoski. I'm the president of Richard J. Daley College, one of the colleges of the City Colleges of Chicago. The challenges that I'm hearing and that I know about from our students and our campus community actually falls within three different areas. The first challenge is funding. Given the pandemic, given COVID-19, many of our students have lost employment, or they have lost the opportunity to engage with the jobs that they had or the funds that were available to them. So one of the challenges during this period was an enhanced need for funding. City colleges had responded to this enhanced need for funding via a number of different mechanisms. One was the forgiveness grants that the chancellor and the mayor had put together and have instituted. Other was a federal CARES money. And then we had additional things like the chancellor's continuation or retention grant. So one of the challenges for our students that has enhanced during COVID-19 is funding. The second challenge that has enhanced or became more strong during this period of COVID-19 is access to technology. So our students were always available to have access to technology via our physical campus, both here at Daley and at AVI. And we did have some loaner laptops for our students. But in moving to a remote status, one of the challenges for many of our students is the issue of availability of technology. City colleges and Daley College had responded by providing loaner laptops and loaner hotspot areas. The third challenge and the final challenge that I see or I have seen with COVID-19 is the issue of the enhanced need for basic needs. We have a food pantry here at Daley College. Our students are asking us, in addition to more students are asking us for access to food because of food insecurity. Issues of wellness. We have a wellness center on our campus, and now we have it virtually. Many more students are seeking access and the services provided at our wellness center. The same thing with our Disability Access Center, our Testing Center, our Job Skills Center and Career Center, as well as access to professional clothes for interviews. So the three things that we have seen for COVID-19 that have been challenges that city colleges and Daley colleges had moved to address for our student success were funding, technology, and access to basic services for their basic needs. The challenge of COVID-19 on Richard J. Daley College campus has been enhancement and the strength of our mission by looking at different ways on how we execute on that mission. So the mission for Richard J. Daley College has been strengthened during the challenge of COVID-19. We're very dedicated to diversity and inclusion, integrity, lifelong learning, and equality. That mission has not changed. It has strengthened during this time of COVID-19. But the biggest challenge for us is a way that we execute on that mission. Let me give you an example. Previous to COVID-19, one of the challenges of our students was transportation to come to the college for their classes and activities. Since COVID-19, that challenge has been lessened because we're in a remote status. So students are not coming physically to the campus. But one of our challenges now is access in a different way regarding digital opportunities, whether that might be laptops or that might be hotspots. So the core mission, the core vision of what we're doing here at Richard J. Daley College is ever the more strengthened and enhanced. But what has changed is the way that we execute on that. One example that I had given is regarding how do we execute on access. It's no longer transportation, but it's the issue of access to digital technology and the opportunities for students to connect with us via laptops, via smartphones, via telephones. The greatest hope for the future for our students here at Richard J. Daley College and for all of the students at the City Colleges of Chicago is so their aspirations and their dreams that they have for themselves can be realized. Each of us comes with a dream. Each of us has the understanding as where we want our life to be and how we could be successful. And we here at Daley College and City Colleges of Chicago can be a partner in helping our students indeed reach their dreams and reach their goals that they have for themselves. So my hope, my aspiration for all of us here at City Colleges is for each student that comes to us, meets their dreams, meets their goals, and becomes successful.
I'm Dr. Brandon Nichols, Vice President of Academic Affairs at Olive Harvey College, one of the City Colleges of Chicago. It's kind of hard what direction to go in. I think in many cases, just a level of building community. In most cases, if you think about just Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and specifically for our students, in which we are a predominantly Black institution and an emerging Hispanic serving institution, for many minority students, we want to make sure that we're fostering a relationship of feeling socialized and being both academically and socially integrated to the college. Right now, for many of our minoritized students, this is something that really helps to connect with a level of retention and student success. Because we're in this remote environment because of the COVID-19 pandemic, I think one of the biggest challenges is being able to still foster a sense of community, but in a remote setting. We have many students that have been plagued with family members that may have passed or been impacted by COVID-19 based on their health, as far as jobs, and also just simple things such as childcare and transportation. So I think just being able to show a level of empathy and still providing a sense of community has been one of our biggest challenges that we've seen thus far, because all of these factors truly impact academic success at the college. Some of the struggles that we have witnessed is just ensuring, making sure that we're closing the gap on equity gaps that really align with our equity plan. Some of the things we made as far as food insecurity, access to technology. So I want to say just Olive Harvey College, along with City Colleges of Chicago, has been doing all that we can in order to meet the needs of students to be able to ship loaner laptops to them and Wi-Fi hotspots. Based on data that was collected through the Real College Survey and our own Appreciative Inquiry Survey locally here at OHC, some of the things that we noticed that students struggle with that directly impact success is access to food, access to housing, and textbooks. So those are some of the struggles that really were already prevalent prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, but I believe that now it is really resurfaced and heightened in a sense because we're not physically at the college. So I want to say Olive Harvey leadership as far as faculty, staff, and even our student leadership has been very proactive with being able to ensure that we're able to close the gaps in order to ensure a true equitable approach to support student success and equality. I say personally speaking, racial justice goes really beyond just anti-racism. It's not just the absence of discrimination or inequities, but really to address just deliberate, intentional prejudice, behavior, and action. We have many minoritized groups that exist in our society. This goes beyond just skin tone, that goes beyond just being profiled, but really being able to address what is appropriate and what is something that we should no longer stand for. We've witnessed crimes that have been done through law enforcement, but also through societal norms that have found to be hurtful, negatively impacting, and really just immoral. So as an institution, us being a public community college, part of our mission is really to ensure cultural and civic engagement. I believe that not just Olive Harvey, but the City Colleges of Chicago has a charge and a commitment to the community and the citizens in which we serve, specifically for Olive Harvey, located on the southeast side of Chicago, in which our neighborhoods are primarily African American and Hispanic. We should make sure that every student that we serve and every community partner that we support feels empowered, they feel as though they belong, and they could truly depend on Olive Harvey College as being a true community school model, a one-stop shop of sorts, to be able to support social services, academic services, and overall well-being in order to look at every individual as a whole person. And I believe that our societal norms and value system is currently being rewritten right in front of us. So as we continue to be mission-driven and put students first, along with our community partners, I really foresee us being more connected with being flexible, adaptive, toward meeting the needs of our community. One thing would be just with our curriculum, ensuring social justice. We want to ensure that our learning outcomes, our course descriptions, and our delivery of both curricular and co-curricular learning opportunities are able to meet the current demand of our society. That's a charge of our institution. Ensuring that we're filling the gaps based on just equity as relates to food insecurity, housing insecurity, access to open educational resources, but really by doing that to close the gaps of the digital divide. It's a challenge in this environment, but I think for anyone that has lost a loved one or has been a witness to someone close, family friend, or a colleague that may not longer be with us, just to be able to ensure that their spirit still holds true, that their legacy is still present, on how we're able to pass forth the values, the morals, and the standards that those individuals represented in our life, and continue to keep that torch lit, to be able to help anyone that's in need, to show a level of empathy for our colleague, to show a level of support for our students, faculty, and staff, and to continue to support our citizens in the communities in which we serve. This is something that is bigger than us, for lack of better words. It's beyond our control, but all I can ensure that how we're able to be human, be empathic, and be supportive of our fellow colleagues, our peers, and the community, the citizens in which we support. Personally speaking, this was not related to a COVID-19 diagnosis, but I recently had my grandfather that passed away this year on August 20th. He had just turned 90. Ironically, it was actually his birthday in which he passed away. I learned many values from him as a professional, as a relative, as being a man, as being an African-American man in our current society. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we've all had to adjust on how we grieve. Something as simple as a family gathering, such as a repast, we were unable to have because of health concerns due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But I think this is an opportunity also to really be able to establish and refine our morals that we have personally and our morals as a society. How can I ensure that the lessons that I've learned from my grandfather and from relatives that have passed, to be able to persevere, to be strong, and to be able to channel the energy that I have within in order to be the best version of myself, in order to show a level of empathy for our colleague, to show a level of support for our students, faculty, and staff, and to continue to support our citizens in the communities in which we serve. Right now, I don't have a correct answer. We're still figuring this out. But in many cases, if we stay true to our life mission and our purpose, our core values, that will continue to be a guide that will lead us into the future in order to continue to support our communities in the great city of Chicago.
Many colleges, particularly community colleges, most of the instruction, the vast majority of instruction was done in person. So I think probably one of the greatest shifts that we had to make was the rapid transition from in-person instruction to online delivery. In addition to that, the same can be made with regards to the providing the student services to students as well. Again, that being largely done and delivered in person as well, and making the transition to providing those services in a remote fashion, in a remote environment, was also quite a challenge for us as well. Again, I think it was the short amount of time in which we had to make these adjustments, and to do it in such a way that it had a capacity of being effective and not compromising with regards to quality. Overall, I think, like many of the city colleges, as all the city colleges, I think we did a fairly decent job under the circumstances of doing that. It's interesting, we did a series of large-scale planning sessions to include our strategic enrollment management planning, as well as our strategic planning initiative and our equity planning initiative. And part of those processes is to explore at length the data. And one thing that became incredibly evident to us was that our student population is one in which it is existing in the context of a community that has one of the highest levels of households without computers, without internet access, or smart devices. So this particular community has a high threshold when it comes to the digital divide. As a result, one of the difficulties we heard from our students was that many of them did not have access to technology at home in a way that would be effective for them in order to be successful in their coursework. And as a result of that, we were able to make our labs available for those students that had such needs. Also, the chancellor was able to successfully galvanize resources, external resources, to provide laptops for students that were in need as well. So again, a real challenge for our student population, the digital divide in this community, but again, steps we're taking to address those issues for our students. systematic fair treatment of people of all races, resulting in equitable opportunities and outcomes for all. And also, I think it's safe to say that racial justice goes beyond just anti-racism. It's not just the absence of discrimination and equity, but also the presence of deliberate systems and supports to achieve and sustain racial equity through proactive and preventative measures. So I think it's a complex phenomenon that goes beyond just racism or anti-racism, but it talks about having a systematic approach to providing systemic responses to provide racial justice. And I think your two sets of questions, or I should say your questions really fell into two categories. The response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the issues of racial justice in our society. But for Kennedy King College, it's interesting to note that both of those phenomena are part of the same dynamic for us. And the overall arching thing for both of those categories for us is the issue of equity. Because if you look at the digital divide, again, this community has the highest level of negative impact in the state of Illinois when it comes to the digital divide. And obviously, this is a predominantly African-American community and a predominantly African-American college. So when we get into the issues of racial injustice in our society or racial justice, again, for our population that we're serving, again, both elements are having an impact in a very profound way. And as we both know, as we know, the first COVID-19 case in the state of Illinois, or I should say in the city of Chicago, was in Inglewood. And again, it speaks to, again, some of the equity issues across the board when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to, again, I think we're facing a complex problem, but that's essentially is rooted at the core, but has various tentacles that, again, allow for it to have a multifaceted impact on our society and this community in particular. So my greatest hope would be that we will be able to get to a place where we're able to have equity, true equity, and have true racial justice in our society. My name is Gregory Thomas. I am the president of Kennedy King College, and I am proud to provide service and leadership to this college and to the Inglewood community and to the South Side of Chicago. With regards to any last words, again, as I noted during my dialogue, the issue of equity is paramount for this college and for this community. Our initiatives that we have undertaken in recent months have been designed to address the issues of equity. Our equity theme ran through our strategic enrollment management planning, our strategic planning, and obviously through our equity planning as well. Many of the new initiatives that we have brought onto existence on the campus have designed specifically to provide equity. One initiative being the Kennedy King IT Launchpad. It's a new initiative at the college designed to provide IT training opportunities in degree programs, certificate programs, to allow for there to be a greater impact of diversity and equity into the IT world, and providing opportunities for employment opportunities for our students as well, to collaborate with IT professionals in this community. There are a assortment of other initiatives like that to speak to providing equity. We also launched an initiative that talks to the necessity of providing equity in the arts. So we've created a Center of Equity for the Creative Arts, especially known as SECA, designed to provide expressions of African-American voices in a whole spectrum of a variety of performance art outlets. So we're doing quite a few interesting things that are designed to have impact on our students and our community. And again, the notion of equity and social justice run through all of our academic programming and our social programming for our students.
My name is David Sanders, and I serve as the president of Malcolm X College. Thank you for having me. There have been multiple challenges that we've had to deal with. We did a survey, I think it was in June, of the impacts of COVID, and they are enormous. Housing insecurity was a big issue. I think it was about 57% of our students had some level of housing insecurity, which was higher than what we had gleaned from the Real College survey we had done just a year earlier. About 43% of our students are food insecure. And then there are a number of social and mental health issues that students are grappling with, from loneliness to depression to the inabilities to socialize, the restrictions that are stopping them from being able to access their friends and family. And a big one is jobs. Many of them have lost their jobs, or their jobs closed and have not reopened, or when they reopened, they were not part of the crew to come back on board. So they're dealing with financial issues, which all ties in, obviously. So I think those are some of the biggest issues. Another one that I would say is a huge one is remote learning. It is the mode of learning that most of our students are not familiar with and did not intend to utilize when they came to city colleges. They have adjusted, but I believe that there are a number of elements that are pointing to additional supports, additional concerns we have about the ability of these students to persist, be retained, and to complete their coursework. So these are challenges we're going to have to address, and they're pretty enormous. On the job, I have experienced being ostracized because of my color, because of my background. So, you know, it's something that, you know, we as African-American men deal with on a daily basis, and there are really no support groups for us. There's no place for you to really go to tell somebody about it. And, you know, there's an affinity for most of us Black men not to tell because, you know, it's not being a man. You know, you're not showing, you don't show weakness. You know, you're not showing your masculinity. And it's a real problem. And you know, I think we're seeing just how impactful that, you know, the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and other incidents that's happening across the country are resonating with African Americans and others across the country. So, you know, I think it's something that we have got to address, and I'm certainly happy that the institution has decided to hire a vice chancellor of racial equity, but I believe there's so much more that has to be done. We've got to recognize that there is a closed ceiling to African Americans and Hispanic students, that people are standing in the way of progress and not realizing that we're better together, and that an open system, a fair system, is beneficial to the nation as a whole, and not just to those representative groups. The other thing that I think we have to realize is that this doesn't take anything away from you, and it is not a situation where you lose power, you actually gain power. And I don't understand people who don't realize that, and who aren't willing to even have the conversation. And I get it. I understand where it came from. I understand, you know, how people feel and, you know, get indoctrinated into racist feelings, and but it's unacceptable. And we as a people have to come together and let our voices be heard. And I'm hopeful that that occurs at the polls, that people vote and address the kind of nation that we should have here. And that after that, assuming that it's successful, that we come together to heal this nation and to move forward towards a better civilized society.
Hello, my name is Dr. Sean Jackson, proud president of Harry S. Truman College.
Hi, I'm Kate Connor. I serve as the Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs here at Truman College.
I think the magic of community colleges is the sense of community. And I think we have always, when we had in-person services and were pre-pandemic, really excited about having the opportunity to bring community into our college and really finding ways to service our students in ways that met their individual needs. And having that individual relationship and opportunity to have personal interactions was extremely important to that goal. And now the goal is still the same. The goal is trying to meet the needs of our students to bring that sense of community to what we do here at Truman. And it's challenging because you don't necessarily have the face-to-face opportunities, yet the mission stays the same. We are in the business of supporting our students. And here at Truman, we talk about the college experience, not just supporting our students with an ethic of care, but that college experience and what that feels like for a staff member, a faculty member, or an external stakeholder that engages in opportunities with Truman. And so putting that all in a virtual space and finding ways to still be engaging, finding ways to still be personable, finding ways to still meet individuals' needs is challenging without having those face-to-face touch points.
Physical space changed so drastically that it's really powerful for us to be able to be a part of our physical space, but we know that so few people can be in our space. We just had a faculty member come by who said, "You'll be one of the 5 people I see this month," and interact with as a person-to-person interaction. And so how do we make sure that people still feel supported and connected to the college is something that we're really caring about right now.
It's not as simple as, making sure that you're there for class or what this grade is going to look like. There are things going on right now that are unprecedented and has really put us in a position where we really need to be careful or with each other, as well as understanding the things that individuals could be dealing with before they even interact with our campus. And then people are in a very vulnerable space, and not everyone is comfortable sharing that as well. And so it's a lot to deal with when you are trying to be such a caring campus and college to meet individuals' needs that you may not even know exist. And so there are challenges that we're all dealing with, but I think the common denominator for all of us is that we're going through it together, and we really try to be there for one another during this time. I think as a Black man leading this institution, everything that has gone on racially in our society, especially recently, has now given me the opportunity and the courage to engage in conversations that I wouldn't have had before. As a Black man in education in Chicago for over 20 years, I have dealt with racial injustice head on, and sometimes have had to deal with it in a way where I've become desensitized to it. And I know there are many of my colleagues that have also felt the same way. But in these opportunities to be leading public education institutions at this moment in time, we have an opportunity to be part of the change. We have an opportunity to engage in conversations that maybe will be representing those that did not have the courage to speak beforehand. And it is a huge undertaking, but I understand that in these positions, we have real opportunity. I think it's big to understand that this is a systemic problem that has been going on, it seems like forever. And if as organizations, we can hold ourselves accountable to not contribute to the issue, we have started having the right conversations on our campuses. I think we've had the opportunity to begin with an equity plan that actually started before the civil unrest. but now being able to take this head on and engage multiple stakeholders in our college to really be charged to make a difference. I think that George Floyd could have been me. George Floyd could have been one of my students. There are many George Floyds out there that we may not have heard of that need us to step up. And I think this is an opportunity for us to act with a sense of urgency that we may not have done in the past. And so it's beyond rhetoric at this point. It's opportunities to have conversation and to really take advantage of the powerful voices in our college, the powerful voices in our community, the powerful voices of our students, to really think about and reflect on how we do business here on our campuses. And I take the responsibility seriously, not only from a professional level, but a personal level, to be a leader in those conversations, to be a leader in those decisions, to be a leader in those actions. And I think it is our obligation as leaders to do so.
Yeah, I will say as serving as vice president here under Dr. Jackson, it is a complete honor to be able to put this work into action at Truman. Thinking about what does an anti-racism agenda, an anti-bias agenda look like at a college is something that many people, I think, at Truman have talked about for years. And the fact that we are doing that, we are figuring out ways to collaborate across the college to involve faculty, to involve staff, to involve adult educators, to think about what this could look like and how do we create change within the institution is really powerful. And I think that if we can continue to implement systems for change and change systems, that's really powerful. And that's something that we've taken very seriously. And building those structures for what we're referring to as action research at the college to create these deliberate systems of support to be to not only be equity minded, but to be actively anti-racist and anti-bias is really unique. And it's something that I think that Truman is going to be better off for, having a long-term process that is multi-year as a way to actually look at ourselves as individuals, as ourselves as leaders, and at our college.
Wow. I've always said my career has been in the K through 12 space. And I've always pushed my students to get involved in higher education. And I'm extremely blessed and honored to now be the head of a higher ed institution, and I have somewhere for them to go. If there's anything that comes out of this pandemic, it's understanding the importance of access and opportunity. We are looking at two different worlds, if you will. And quite oftentimes, education is the gateway or the difference between the two. And so what this has taught us is to make a concerted effort in access, because right now that's what we have to do to support our students, faculty, and community, is we have to change the modality in the way we offer access. And because of that, it's forced us to make changes. It's forced us to look at practice different. It's forced us to build capacity in different spaces, to work muscles that we've never used before. My dream world is to take what we've learned and continue to provide access, continue to provide voice for those that may not have access, that may not have a voice, and to really give people the opportunity to engage in higher education. I understand how it plays into economic mobility and all of these other things that we talk about at the surface. But the reality is, it's about opportunity, and everyone deserves an opportunity to have an education.
My name is Dalila Duarte. I serve as the Vice President and Dean of Student Affairs at Harold Washington Community College. Our campus has really been the balance, I think, of everyone personally, right? We are personally impacted by this first and foremost, and then of course professionally. If we're students, if we are servicing students in our campus, you know, transitioning to a remote environment for, again, both sides, faculty and students, first and foremost, that this impacts everyone at a personal and professional level. Transitioning to a remote environment for both sides, faculty and students, has really encountered some challenges around access to technology, transitioning instruction from that in-person to that remote space, ensuring the quality of instruction, and really how do we use the technology piece effectively. Transitioning to remote operation in response to the pandemic, some of the struggles that we've heard on campus from our community has really centered on communication, wellness, more so specifically that emotional support, the work-life balance, and as well as job loss. Unfortunately, these are realities that have impacted everyone, as I mentioned, not only at a personal level, but also at a professional level. You know, COVID-19 is a new space for all of us. It's a new experience for all of us. It creates uncertainties, fears, anxiety, many emotions that are truly you know, nerve-wracking and cause a bit of distress. And so one of the things that we did in response to this is our Associate Dean, Asif Wilson, created Self-Care Fridays, where he really created a space where we could come remotely and to provide support to our community. This really brought us healing in the process in the midst of adjusting to the pandemic. You know, job loss, unfortunately, some of our students as well as their family members are faced with the emotional distress of losing a job, or just the feeling that there's a possibility, right, that uncertainty. And so I'm very grateful to our city college leaders as well as our leaders across the city college system that we have focused on retention grants, tuition initiatives, and relief funds to really bring that fresh start that is needed to all of us in this season. Again, communication, really moving to this remote space required a lot of details and ease to be communicated to our entire community. And so it was difficult at times, not only to find new solutions while keeping our up-to-date, ongoing, regular styles of communication with students, but also making sure that there's that personal touch to it, that we are addressing their academic needs, but also their social emotional of all our campus community members. If you have lost a loved one, I just want to give my sincere condolences. I firsthand know what that experience is, especially in this time. Unfortunately, a few months ago, I lost my mom to the fight against Alzheimer's. And so again, I stand with you in solidarity in experiencing grief and such a hard time, not only in this aspect of the pandemic, but also the topic of racial justice. We're experiencing loss at times even with our own sense of identity, right? We are accustomed to be able to get on the train, to go outside and maybe run around at our local trail or take a walk around our communities or visit a loved one, right? And so there's that loss of physical, you know, engagement with others. And so it's an adjustment in many ways. So again, it's not only those who have lost their loved one, but also again, lost their daily routine, right? And kind of reclaiming who we are together in this pandemic. And so I hope that as the months pass, that collectively we at Harold Washington and among city colleges could continue to offer the space of healing, this space of self-care, and that together we will overcome this season.
Hi, my name is David Potash. It's my honor to serve as president of Wilbur Wright College, one of the city colleges of Chicago. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Danelle, and everyone involved in wellness for us to find the time, the space, and this opportunity for us to come together, to reflect, and to help each other as a community. The pandemic hit us hard, and hit us hard initially when we lost a really valuable employee, Carmelita Cristobal, who was known throughout the college and worked very, very closely with students as well. And that initial loss, I think, hurt all of us emotionally, psychically. It really brought home just the horror of this illness and the devastation it can really wage on families. And one of the things that I think is really important about Wright, we really try to think of ourselves as a family. In the pandemic's first few months, many members of the Wright community, faculty, staff, and students, both had direct struggles with the disease, and their families, their friends also struggled with the disease. And that immediate sense of fear and concern really, really badly affected the college. Adding to this, because we are so much of a community, the challenge has really been for how we've been able to come together and grieve, how we've been able to come together and support each other, and also how we can come together and heal and move forward. Thankfully, through a lot of communication, through a lot of trust, through a lot of hard work, some difficult conversations, I think that we are really starting to come together again and help each other as a college. Racial justice, to me, is much more than the absence of discrimination, the absence of inequity. And it's more than equity. We've been pursuing an equity agenda at Wright for many years. It's about the conscious and deliberate and ultimately effective pursuit of racial justice for all. And it's about addressing and meeting the needs and fighting any and all kinds of racism in whatever form. At Wright, after the murder of George Floyd, the college and leadership, faculty, staff, and students started really thinking hard about what we might be able to do to make more of a difference, to make more of an impact. We formed a racial justice committee at the college, and I want to read to you the mission statement that we put together, and that is Wilbur Wright College, one of the city colleges of Chicago, formed the Racial Justice Committee in response to the ongoing and systemic racism and brutality in communities of color, culminating in the murder of George Floyd in Minnesota on May 25th, 2020. Our mission is centered on building awareness, solutions, and leadership to end racist practices. And we define racial justice as the systemic fair treatment of people of all races, resulting in equitable opportunities and outcomes for all. And we work to advance racial justice through education, training, and leadership development. The Racial Justice Committee at Wright has put together a pretty ambitious set of programming. We held the college's first Juneteenth celebration to build awareness, to build knowledge. And I am extraordinarily grateful for all members of the committee and all members of the Wright community who have joined with us in this pursuit. It's extraordinarily important. It's important for our communities, it's important for our college, and it's just vitally important for our collective future. Oh, I have so many dreams and hopes for the college. We have so much potential, so much goodwill here, such a great sense of commitment. But if you talk about my greatest hope, my greatest sort of wish really is for all of us to be able to follow current events, to be able to look at the news, look online, and see that we're at a point where we are working together. We're working together for racial justice. We're working together for opportunity. We're working together and caring for each other so that our communities are healthier, our colleges are healthier, And ultimately, I have to give a big shout out to everyone involved in our environmental tech program and raising awareness that we're living in a healthier planet. That was really my ultimate, my greatest wish for the future.